Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's Red Dead Redemption 2 video, we're going to be taking a look at 10 characters in RDR2 and who they are based off on in real life. So we're not going to be talking about their voice actors, but simply who Rockstar chose to base them off of in real life, which is really cool because there's a ton of fun examples. So I know it's been a little bit since we've done an RDR2 video, and there's a handful of other characters that I'd like to get into as well. So if you guys want to see a part 2, let me know in the comments down below on who, and also leave a like rating on this video to let me know that that's something you're interested in. But with out of the way, let's not waste any more time and let's get it started. So the first character today, I don't know if he actually has an official name. A lot of you guys probably know him as the mutant of Butcher's Creek, or the banjo mutant of Butcher's Creek. He's the guy that looks like he has an incredibly swollen and deformed face, and he's playing the banjo, and if you actually disrupt him or do anything, he will start attacking you. This guy is based off of a real person. I kid you not. So I don't know if we actually have a name for this individual, but we do know what actually happened to him. This is actually an extreme case of a disease called goiter, which is a swelling of the thyroid due to iodine deficiency. And in case you guys are wondering if this is something that would likely happen today, the answer is no. I'm sure you consume enough iodized salt to prevent something like this. I'm sure it was either way a rare case. But what's interesting is the person in the photograph is playing the banjo. He's wearing the exact same style of clothing. And if you guys want more information on these characters, I'll try to leave some links in the description that showcase who they are based off of in real life as well, in case you want some more background information. But that's our first character today. Our second character today are the Aberdeens. That's right. Tammy and Bray Aberdeen are based off of real characters. And that's pretty horrifying when you realize the stuff they did in Red Dead Redemption 2, they did in real life as well. So the Aberdeens are based off of siblings John and Kate Bender, who lived in the Kansas area and were responsible for the disappearances and murders of at least 8 people after remains were found on their farms in the 1870s. Again, if you guys want an in-depth story on this, I'll actually leave a link to a video I covered last year. It's scary how accurate Rockstar got the Aberdeens. And they were people who did the exact same thing. They would invite them into their homes for a warm meal. They would get them drunk, or they would, feed them too much so they would become sleepy. And then they would murder them, taking their belongings. Exactly what happened to Arthur or John if they tried to do this home robbery. So I know when I found this out, it was one of the creepiest things I discovered about Red Dead Redemption 2. The Aberdeens in general are just awful people, and the fact that they exist in real life is pretty horrifying. Let's just say that. Anyways, moving on to our third character today, that is Albert Mason, the photographer. That's right, this guy is actually based off of a real life photographer as well. And his name is Ansel Eaton Adams, who was born on February 20th, 1902, died April 22nd, 1984. He was an American landscape photographer and environmentalist, and his black and white images of the American West, especially the Yosemite National Park, have been widely reproduced on calendars, posters, and books. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, wait a minute, that really doesn't fit the timeline of Red Dead Redemption 2, which again, our story starts in 1899, and even by 1907, he would have only been 5 years old. Well, there's another individual as well, Carlton Watkins. He was also one of America's premier landscape photographers who lends some of the most daring and famous photographs of the American West around this time. So it was definitely one of those two guys. I think our first character, Ansel, looks a little bit more like Albert Mason, but he would have been a little bit too young. In fact, he wouldn't have even existed in 1899. Character number 4 today, Edmond Lowry Jr., the serial killer. That's right, Rockstar based Edmond Lowry Jr. off of a real-life serial killer. And that real-life serial killer is Stephen D. Richards, who was known as the Nebraska Fiend or the Kearney Counter Murderer, who was an American serial killer who confessed to committing 9 murders in Nebraska and Iowa in the 1870s and 1880s. And he looks exactly like Edmond Lowry Jr. He wore like the fancy suit, he had the mustache, the weird hair. I've also heard comparisons that he was connected to Jack the Ripper, but I think he's more closely related to our friend Stephen Richards here. And again, they look similar. The fact that it was done in Nebraska and Iowa, we know that's actually close to where Valentine is based in real life, where Edmond Lowry Jr.'s shack was based off of. So the proximity of where he's located is there, how he looks is there. So I'm pretty sure that's who he's actually based off of. So that is Edmond Lowry Jr. Our next character today is Dorothy Wicklow. You might know her as the lady in Saint Denis who is yelling and ringing a bell, advocating for women's suffrage and the right to vote. Well, she is actually based off of a real-life person. Her name is Sophie Dulep Singh. And Singh was actually known for campaigning on busy streets with a large wooden sign, just as the character in-game is. And she was one of the first South Asian women to fight for their right and was most remembered for her activism in the Women's Tax-Resistant League, as well as the Women's Social and Political Union. And she dressed the same way. The fact that she stood in front of a busy city street with the same sort of signage, it's pretty clear that Rockstar based her off of this real-life woman. So pretty cool stuff right there. Character number 6 today is Professor Marko Dragic. So you guys probably recognize this comparison here. Marko Dragic is most closely resembled to Nikola Tesla, who is one of the most famous physicists, scientists, engineers. He is a Serbian-American engineer and physicist born in 1856 through 1943, and he made dozens of breakthroughs in production, transmission, and applications of electrical power, which is the story basically of the robot that we get to go through in-game. So I pretty much recognize this one immediately. Even like his laboratory has like Tesla references all over it. So this is a really fun character that Rockstar ended up creating. His side story is honestly one of the best in the entire game. And I love how he just makes fun of like how he thinks Americans are like the biggest idiots of all time. And the way he talks to Arthur is really funny too. So that is Marko Dragic, who is based off of Nikola Tesla. Our next character today is Bertram. And we actually encounter Bertram in the sort of freak show of Van Horn. Well, Bertram is based off of a real person. This person's name is Schlitzie, otherwise known as Simon Metz. And Simon Metz was an American sideshow performer. He also appeared in a few films, but as you guys can see there, he looks incredibly similar to Bertram in Red Dead Redemption 2. And I'm certainly not smart enough to try to dive into any of the conditions physically or mentally that Simon Metz might have had and what Rockstar tried to portray him as in-game. But it's pretty clear that these guys are the exact same character. And I feel bad because Bertram is a really funny character, but when you know what's going on there, it's like, man, I feel bad for this guy. So I'm glad that at the end of the mission in-game, it all really does end up working out, and it is sort of a happy ending. Character number 8 today, Lillian Powell, otherwise known as the lady who sits in the Saint Denis Saloon. She is actually based off of Sarah Bernhardt, who was one of the most famous stage actresses of the late 19th century. In 1906, she traveled all over the West in a farewell tour, performing some of her most famous roles. And it's pretty clear that not only are they stage artists, but they look almost identical. Now, I don't know all about their backstory. Lillian Powell in-game is kind of crazy, but they look incredibly similar. And they're both stage actresses from the 1900s, so I think it's pretty clear that that's who she is based off of. So pretty cool stuff right there. The number 9 spot today, Black Belle, the legendary gunslinger. This one was pretty cool. I didn't actually know that Black Belle was based off of anyone until I started doing some research for this video. it looks like she is likely based on the famed outlaw Belle Starr, nicknamed the Bandit Queen, while active in Oklahoma and Missouri. And Black Belle's attire also heavily resembles the clothing that Belle Starr was known to wear. She also carries traits with other famous Western figures, such as sharpshooter Annie Oakley and frontierswoman Calamity Jane. But if you guys just take a look at Belle Starr, I mean, the name itself should be a giveaway, but the fact that they both basically wore all black, they both sort of had the same mannerism about each other, it's pretty clear that this is who Rockstar chose to base Black Belle off of. So that's pretty awesome right there. And at the number 10 spot, arguably one of my favorite characters in the entire game, Charles Chatenay, the French artist who creates intimate paintings in the heart of Saint Denis. It turns out he is based partially on French artist Paul Gauguin, whose early works were often panned or deemed outright obscene by critics. And Gauguin spent much of the 1890s living and painting in French Polynesia, especially Tahiti in the South Pacific. I kid you not. And his art gained critical acclaim in the decades following his death in the Marquesas Islands. How funny is that? It's literally the exact same story. Charles Chatenay was painting, pretty provocative artwork. And then after he ended up leaving Saint Denis, his artwork became more valuable. So it's a very similar story right there. I find that to be absolutely hysterical. But anyways, that right there is 10 Red Dead Redemption 2 characters in real life that you might not have known about. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments down below. Which of the characters today did you think was the most interesting? And also, let me know in the comments down below if you would like me to see or cover other characters from RDR2 and who they're based off of in real life. Again, let me know what you're thinking down there. If you guys did go on to enjoy this video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new or you want to stay up to date on all the latest GTA and Red Dead Redemption videos that I'm doing here on my channel. And be sure to ring that notification bell as well. Sometimes YouTube just doesn't work, and if you ring that bell, you'll always be guaranteed to be notified when new videos arrive. But of course, as always, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.